Hi everyone, welcome to Gig Harbor, Washington, where the anchor all began. We are standing here in front of a net shed, and for those of you who don't know what a net shed is, our town is an old fishing community, and back in the day, the fishermen would come off the water and bring their boats in and bring their nets into these net sheds to be repaired and get equipped and just get a little rest off the water. So we thought, what a great analogy for the anchor where it first began is this place where women of all ages can come to gather and be together and be restored and be encouraged. So this month we are going to share an anchor moment with you. And an anchor moment is a time in your life when your faith has really been grounded and you've seen God at work for real. And we are thrilled that we are going to be able to share with you stories from women of all kinds of backgrounds and all ages, and our hope and prayer is that you would be encouraged.
Hi, my name is Kelly Wotherspoon, and I've been a part of the Anchor for a few years, and I've been so encouraged by all the women's stories of how God has showed up and faith in their anchor moments, and I hope that this can be encouraging. My story can be encouraging to you. A little bit about me. I was raised primarily in the Pacific Northwest. I went to Edmonds High School and graduated from the University of Washington. But my parents took our family to church when we were young, but it wasn't until my high school years that my faith journey really started, when my friends invited me to Young Life Club and then later to the Young Life camp up at Malibu, British Columbia. That is where my life was changed forever, when I became a Christian and got to know Jesus' love in a personal way. On my second trip to Malibu during college, I met my future husband, Bruce. We married 6 years later and raised 3 kids, amazing kids, in Sammamish and Issaquah. My anchor moment involves our firstborn, Lauren. Lauren was a nurse at Children's Hospital in Seattle, but decided to move to Denver a few years ago, and now works at Denver Children's. She wanted a change of life and loves the mountains. It's there that she met Russell, actually, while skiing in the mountains, and they started doing all the things that they love together while falling in love. Skiing and hiking, running, mountain biking. We were thrilled when Russell asked Lauren to marry him October 2019, and we were so excited for Russell to join our family. By December, we chose the wedding dress and booked the Denver Botanic Garden for our venue. They wanted a short engagement, and we were lucky that a June date became available. The big day was set to happen on 6/20/2020. It had a nice ring to it. We had 6 months to plan and made all the big decisions within 3 months. Lauren, Russell, and I are great planners, and we love our Excel spreadsheets. The dates were set for a lovely bridal shower, a bachelorette and bachelor weekend, a welcome party, and of course, the wedding and reception. Little did we know what was coming. Remember all the feelings and the emotions, the fear and anxiety as we learned about the coronavirus. We hoped that sheltering at home would bring the virus under control. Everything was up in the air and so uncertain. Lauren and Russell were clinging to the hope that they would still be able to have their large wedding in June. The most productive thing I did while staying at home is I spent a lot of time praying and writing in my journal. It was such a scary time. I put everything in God's hands because it was too much for me. I was overwhelmed, and so were Lauren and Russell. Our planning, organizing, and spreadsheets were powerless over a global pandemic. In Proverbs 19:21, it says, "Many are the plans a man's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails." I prayed for good to come out of this mess and lifted up all the details up to God. I also loved this hopeful message. Those who leave everything in God's hands will eventually see God's hands in everything. One by one, all the events that we had planned were canceled. Each rite of passage, so painful to let go. But little sister Megan and maid of honor Pivoted with a surprise Zoom bachelorette party, and our dear friends and shower hostesses asked the guests to, instead of coming to gather, send in marriage advice and favorite family recipes to fill a personalized recipe box, a treasure that Lauren will have forever. But the hardest day was when Lauren called to tell me, through tears and heartache, that she and Russell had finally adjusted to the idea of a small ceremony on their actual date of June 20th, and hopefully have a large celebration with all their guests in June of 2021. It was so hard to be 1,300 miles away from Lauren and not be able to hold her in my arms and just cry together. It was heartbreaking. It was hard to find the words in the moment, but I told Lauren, God has something amazing in store for them, and we had to trust that. In Ephesians 3:20 it says, "Now to him who is able to do far more abundantly than all we could ask or imagine, according to the power that was within us." God's power was at work in us as we had to start over and reimagine what their small wedding would be like, and we only had 5 weeks. With all the uncertainties about updated restrictions, the venues would never commit. Ideas fell through. The doors kept closing. It was so discouraging. I had many supportive friends praying, and one of them suggested, why not check out the VRBOs? Then you could have a big yard, and then we would have more control. With just 2 weeks to go, we secured a 7-bedroom Colorado lodge on Lookout Mountain. Coincidentally, the same mountain where Russell proposed to Lauren. This 3-acre property was perfect for social distancing. It had picnic tables, a fire pit, a cute little red barn with already had white lights and silk hydrangea plants in mason jars. It was all pre-decorated. The owner supplied an abundance of hand sanitizer and Clorox wipes. We ordered food and cake through the original caterer and hired a cute little cocktail trailer to drive onto the property. There were 25 of us, and it was such an amazing day. It was casual, kind of rustic. Love was in the air. There were so many blessings I saw that day that never would have happened at a large gathering, a large celebration. Just the quality of the interactions with the people that were there. We had never met Russell's family. They lived in Indiana, and so this was the first time we got to meet them and spend time with them, and that was really a special time. We weren't distracted by all our family and friends that were coming from other cities. And then there was the toast that Lauren and Russell asked those that would not be doing the big toasts in a year from now to open up the microphone and let them talk. And Russell had been a best man 4 times in 4 of his best friends' weddings. And each of them were able to get up and give a toast. Just heartwarming, funny. We got to know Russell's character and just what a man of integrity he is, and shows up, when there's a need. So we felt like we got to know our son-in-law better that day. And also something that would have happened is I got up and gave a toast, which is something I never would have done at a large wedding. In the time during our stay at home, I found my journal that I had written when the kids were young and had written many notes and funny stories about them. But the first entry is when I wrote about finding out that I was pregnant with Lauren. And back then we didn't have the take-home pregnancy tests, and we had to go to the doctor and make a phone call and find out the news. And I had been at work and had to get to a private conference room so that I could just hear the news. And I was overjoyed, of course, and couldn't wait to tell everybody, but first needed to tell Bruce. The day I found out was June 19th, Friday, June 19th, 1987. And 2 days later was going to be Father's Day on Sunday. And so I thought the way I would tell Bruce is to buy him a Father's Day card and surprise him that way. Well, I couldn't wait till Father's Day. I woke up Saturday morning and I just couldn't wait for him to wake up to give him his card and let him know that he was going to be a dad. So what hit me when I read that journal passage is that he found out he was going to be a father on June 20th, 1987, and 33 years to the day, he's walking that baby girl down the aisle. So I thought that was pretty special, and only God can be in those kind of details. I love how God is in control of all the details of our lives, no matter what we are going through. He was in charge of Lauren and Russell's first wedding, as we like to call it, and it turned out far better than we could have ever asked or imagined. We are so thankful that God is our anchor, and he got us through this storm.